All right, welcome back to the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, our very special guest, Danny Tarkanian, in studio. Always appreciate when he comes in. We got a couple callers that have been waiting on the line for a long time, Danny. We always get them revved up. So we're obviously talking about true hero Riley Howell, who lost his life. And then we were getting into some topics like Covington kids, while me and Danny disagree on that one. We were talking about that. Dr. Dow, we actually agree on that topic. And we're taking your phone calls at 257-5396. Want to get your thoughts on this? Let's start off with Cynthia, who's been waiting patiently on hold. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us. How are you? Well, thank you for not joining us. Appreciate that, Cynthia. Again, the number to call, 257-5396. Go to Bill. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Fine, I'm doing fine. God bless you, Danny. You should have won the election. I don't know what's going on.
Well, thank you.
You're a great guy. Your dad was a great guy.
Thank you.
Your mom's great. Your sister's great.
Bill, you're a great guy too. But can you do me a favor and turn your radio down, please?
Hey, you got it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's quite all right, my friend. Danny is a great guy. I will back him up on that one, and I always appreciate it when he comes in and we talk politics. We don't always agree, but what do you think about this, Bill?
What I was going to mention, and it's something that you mentioned about that young kid.
The Covington, is that, or which one are you talking about?
Should have done is kind of irrelevant because we're looking at it from our standpoint as adults, and sometimes kids don't have that ability to look forward and walk away.
I think that's a great point.
Okay.
You know, when I was I'm 75. As a kid growing up, if somebody got in my face, I smacked them in the face. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the same neighborhood that all the young black kids are killing one another. And I would like to ask somebody to tell me guns are totally illegal in Chicago. They've been that way since the mob. And these young kids are coming up with handguns, are coming up with drugs.
Okay, but there was nobody with handguns in the Covington situation, and I'm going to pull back on what you said. As a 17 or an 18-year-old kid, I think you can still behave. Okay, you have a brain that can, and I'm not saying what this kid did was atrociously horrible, but in my opinion, when you get away or try to de-escalate a situation, you don't stand your ground a foot away from somebody with a stupid smirk on your face. I think you back up a couple steps. I'm not saying hide behind a bus. I never said that. I never said run away. I never said that either. But
just walk away quickly, huh?
No, I didn't say. No, I didn't say that either. I'm just saying back up a couple steps and don't have a smirk on your face. That's all.
He's a young kid.
Oh, stop! Come on, 17 is old enough.
That's exactly right, Bob.
You're recommending a power walk.
And you look back at what you and I did when we were 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, he wasn't 15; he was 17. So let's be factually accurate.
Bob, I made those same mistakes when I was 17.
It's irrelevant whether you're 15, 16.
So if you guys made the same mistakes when you were 15, 16, 17, did you sue somebody for $200 million? I'm just curious.
So you're back into his actions as opposed to the slander against him and the punitive damages.
I don't think he deserves it
against them.
You know, there are people in Las Vegas. You want to talk about Las Vegas? There's people that lose limbs from DUI drivers, and they're lucky if they get $3 or $4 grand. Those are the people that deserve money, not this Covington who put on a MAGA hat.
I got to get you to my legal class one day. It's not the compensation to the individual. It's the penalty to the person who's committing the slander.
So if that's the case, why don't they donate it all to charity then, Danny?
Maybe he would.
No, he won't.
You don't know.
No, he won't. I guarantee you he won't.
He seemed like a great kid.
Why don't these publications... Danny's just messing with me. Bill, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. And the only thing I agreed that Bill said was the nice things he said about you, Danny. That's it. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Tim. Tim, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you, Tim? You're on with Danny Tarkanian.
I'm great. How are you, man?
Doing good. What's up, Tim?
So I've been listening, and I have to respectfully disagree.
Okay.
I got to side with Danny on this one.
That's quite all right. It's a free country. Make your case.
So, NBC said that what he did when he just stood there was a hate crime.
Okay, well, that's idiotic. Okay, obviously they were wrong, and that's idiotic.
So, because of their idiotic statements and because of things people said about, the school should burn down with him and his classmates locked in.
Also idiotic. A lot of stupid people can say a lot of dumb things. I don't recall anybody in the media that said something like that.
As well as the people who were doxing him and his classmates online.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the media, though.
Well, part of it was what the media had said. What Washington Post, what the CNN had said.
It was a snowball of irresponsible behavior by people in the media and alleged news organizations like Bill Maher.
What did Bill Maher say about this situation?
Oh, he was right there with NBC Universal saying that it was a hate crime.
I watch Bill Maher every week. I never heard him say it was a hate crime, so I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you on that. Bill Maher never said these COVID.
That's why you're against the Covington kids. You're a Bill Maher guy. There you go.
I like Bill Maher. I like Bill Maher. I'm not against the Covington kids. I'm not against them. I just what did I say to make you think that I'm against them? I just don't think they deserve monetary value. That's all.
People physically threaten these people's lives.
And that's wrong. But nobody in the media threatened their lives.
I understand that it's wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you that it's wrong.
Yeah.
However, when NBC was presented with the opportunity to issue a retraction because the longer video came out, they refused.
But even more than that, the people that threatened these kids' lives was based upon what they had heard in the media.
You don't know that for sure.
Well, that's what lawsuits are for. They'll get them under oath, and
you don't know that for sure. But luckily, nope. These kids were not injured.
This is why he's suing, is because these entities refuse to issue retractions and apologize.
So can I ask you a question then? Donald Trump for 5 years claimed that Barack Obama was not born in this country. He has since never apologized for that, even after Barack Obama showed his birth certificate. Should Barack Obama have sued Donald Trump?
Yeah. He definitely could have.
Danny?
Yeah, maybe he was worried that there would be some type of discovery and he'd have some problems.
But there wasn't. There wasn't.
But you can. I mean, if he felt that actually affected him, if he could prove,
we need to be fair on both sides here
in a negative way, especially financially, he could have definitely sued him.
I love it. You're bringing up a 72-year-old president of the United States and whether he should get sued by the former president compared to a 17-year-old high school kid.
You're suing a bunch of 70-year-olds. You're suing a bunch of 70-year-olds that are CEOs of publications.
Who control the national media that made these kids look out like to be racist and it committed a hate crime. In fact, one of the slander per se is when you allege somebody did a criminal activity when they didn't.
You think George Zimmerman's a racist? You think George Zimmerman's a racist because a lot of people in the media considered him to be a racist?
Well, George Zimmerman had problems both ways. I thought the verdict was absolutely accurate with what happened with George Zimmerman, but then you watch some of the things he's done. Then you watch some of the things he's done afterwards. You got to question some of.
So a little fact about George Zimmerman: he just got kicked off of Tinder. He was just banned from the digital dating site Tinder. Now, how do you do that?
I did hear about that. That's pretty wild.
Pretty weird to do that.
Let's take some more phone calls. 257-5396 is the number to call again. 257-5396. Marge is next. Marge, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. I think we hung up on Marge by accident. That's okay. We'll take the next caller. Marge, please call back. We hung up on you by accident. Peter, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you, Peter?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Great show.
Thank you, Peter. What's on your mind?
Two things. One, Danny Tarkanian's your best guest you ever have. You should have him on all the time. Your show with him on is the best show ever. Every time I listen to you guys on the show, I just can't get enough of it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's why I invite Danny on all the time.
You two should have your own show together.
JD Sharp is right here. Come on, my co-host JD Sharp. Danny can't take JD's job. I mean, come on. Well, I appreciate that's nice of you to say.
Entertaining.
I appreciate that, Peter. It's nice of you to say, Peter. So, what do you think about this?
I got a question, man. Why are you taking the position that a 17-year-old kid should do something to de-escalate the situation that somebody else is the aggressor?
Fair question. I'll tell you why. Because he said he was de-escalating it. In an interview a week or two after, which I believe was scripted answers, the 17-year-old was asked, why did you stand your ground? Why did you have that smirk on your face? His response was, I was trying to de-escalate the situation. Now, if his response was, look, I was legally allowed to stand my ground and be there. I had a smirk on my face because I thought the situation was funny. If he gave an honest answer like that, I wouldn't be talking about de-escalation. All I'm trying to say is the Hebrew Israelites, or those idiots that was a very volatile situation.
The black Hebrew Israelites.
Whatever the hell they were. Okay, they're the ones who started this thing, and I blame them. And this Indian gentleman has lied and lied and lied, and I've said that time and time again. With that being said, I also don't think these kids deserve any monetary value. That's all.
I don't think you're being fair. I think put yourself in the kid's shoes.
So he deserves millions of dollars, Peter? Is that the only way I can be fair to you? Millions of dollars.
I'm not. Is that what the topic is? I'm
yeah.
talking about you saying that he needed to de-escalate the situation.
I didn't say he needed to de-escalate the situation. He's the one who said that.
One of the biggest problems with, and why the value is so high on this is, when the media posts something, they're so integrated with Google that it pops up in top 2 or 3 when you Google that person.
That is true.
No matter what. And it's really hard to get that down.
You're right.
And that's a big deal.
I agree. 257-5396, Danny Tarkanian in studio. Let's go to Marge. Marge, thanks for calling in. How are you, Marge?
Thanks for calling back.
You're welcome.
What's up, Marge?
I'm honored to have Danny on the phone with us today. I really liked him, and I liked his dad when he was around. So
I don't think anybody would say otherwise. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I became a fan of the Rebels when I was back in Chicago and followed them. So
that's great.
There's a long association, Danny.
I just want a Danny Tarkanian San Antonio Spurs jersey. I keep asking him to bring it in. I'm going to put it on my wall.
I would like a Danny Tarkanian signed mini basketball.
I would rather have a Danny Tarkanian signed basketball than a TJ Otzelberger signed basketball. But Danny, apparently that's how they're trying to sell season tickets. Anyway, that's another story for another show. Marge, what's on your mind when it comes to this issue?
Several things. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, people who do heroic things, somehow, they never get really rewarded. I mean, heck, there were a lot of people here in 1 October where, they fell upon somebody else to try and protect them, and they died or got really seriously injured.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But this thing with these boys, okay, so they're teenagers. They probably have never experienced anything like this, before in their lives.
Absolutely.
The big question I have is, so were the adults that were with them?
Chaperones. I agree.
They're called chaperones.
I agree. I've been, and I've talked about that, Marge, on this show. I've talked about the chaperones. I agree.
Yeah.
That was a very dangerous, it was a volatile situation. I'm not blaming the kids for why it became volatile. The Hebrew Israelites, the gentleman of Indian descent. Look, they started this whole thing. But you're absolutely right. Where were the chaperones?
Exactly.
It's a good point.
And now what happens is,
a 17-year-old kid not going to blows with somebody. I mean, 17-year-old guys have a lot of testosterone. And when someone's threatening something you believe in that much, like he clearly did.
I don't think the kids were threatened by this one gentleman with the drums. I really don't. But that's just my opinion.
There were several of them there.
We're talking about the one gentleman there were a couple of Hebrew Israelites that were shouting obscenities.
No, but there were other people with the Native American that was banging his drums and chanting in the face. There were several of them chanting there.
Okay, that's not something I saw. Maybe you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. Go ahead, Marge.
Yeah. And you don't know what the rest of the crowd would do. I mean, what their feelings are like, and maybe it rise something in them too. And then now you've got a whole massive crowd situation in your hands. I mean, a number of things could have happened.
Yeah. No, I agree, Marge. But
then the attorneys start looking at this.
Right.
They go along and think, oh, gee, I'm going to get a percentage of this.
Yeah, their lives are going to be affected. This is what that attorney said, okay? And Marge, really good call, by the way. I really appreciate it. The attorney for this Sandman kid said he's going to be affected the rest of his life from this. His kids, his grandkids. That is completely and utterly ridiculous, and it is just another example of an attorney looking at the dollar signs, and it is an absolute frickin' joke. Marge, appreciate the call. I believe Lewis is next. Lewis, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hey, man. The key word here, I think, is kids, right? And it doesn't matter. Yes, you have a point as far as the kids backing up, but you're an adult. You have experience in these situations. At the end of the day, these guys, these kids is exactly what they are. How many kids do you know of that drive that continually get speeding tickets because they don't know any better?
Look, you're right. The people that are mainly responsible for all this horrendous stuff were the Hebrew Israelites. I've said that a million times, and I'll say it again.
Correct, but that's not the point. The point here is that whatever happened, now these kids were defamed, and I don't know
for
why.
a week. For a week, they were. Yeah, I agree.
Regardless,
for a week.
If it was for a week or 5 minutes,
a lot of people are defamed. They don't get millions of dollars for it.
They were defamed internationally, not just even nationally, not just on a few stations, on all those stations.
Okay. I've had ex-girlfriends that have defamed me. I haven't gotten a 7-figure payday.
But you know what, though?
I don't know if you could have proved it, though.
This is, and on another topic, this is just another example of the fake news media going crazy. The media prosecuted these kids mercilessly for no reason without getting the facts.
And then a week later, many of these stories were retracted.
Except the people that didn't retract are the ones who are suing. What the other caller had said, he's absolutely right. They asked the Washington Post and NBC or CNN, one of them, to retract it. They wouldn't retract it, and that's the problem they have.
All right, good. I hear what you're saying, Lewis, and I appreciate the call. Let's try to get to a few other calls here. 257.
Maybe one of them will support you.
257-5396. Let's go to Dave. Dave, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, man, thanks. I'm just sitting here listening to everybody, and they're just coming up with some good explanations of what would happen. I agree with Tarkanian. I agree with you, too. You know, I agree that, the way he puts it down, and he didn't have to walk away. There's no reason for him to walk away. He stood his ground. It's his right to be there. So I didn't
say it wasn't his right. He certainly had the right to have a smirk on his face and stand there. I never said he didn't.
It didn't matter what he did. It was his right to be there. It wasn't violent.
I didn't say he didn't have the right to be there.
But what I agree, that's just my opinion on that. But what I agree on your side is
I personally think a smirk is a big deal. Now, flipping him off, a little different. But a smirk on your face, it's pretty weak.
Well, I'm just saying that the problem lies is that what's happening here is you're allowing people to sue the money. That's the problem we started getting.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to sue somebody.
Right.
And that's the part I don't. And hey, I'll tell you true fact. I'm for Trump all the way, but I don't believe in suing everybody for everything.
Trump has made a living of doing that. He's made a living of suing people.
You're an honest worker. You got honest money. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. No, I agree. I agree.
What happens is now, okay, let's turn the table. Okay, now I'm for Trump. I like the mega hat he had. I'm glad he did that. But turn the table and say, okay, what if there was a little black kid over there waiting for something, and then now he says, oh, that this guy did this to me, so I'm going to sue them all on a racial thing. It's just going to turn around. And
I agree. You should never use. I agree, Dave. Dave, you should. I agree with you. You should never use the court system as a game. And maybe Daniel will disagree with me on this one, but I do believe Donald Trump has been using the court system for years. Let's go to CJ. CJ, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just two comments, and I think other people have said it, but it wasn't the kid. The kid didn't want that amount of money. It was the lawyer.
Yeah, but somebody had to hire the lawyer. His family had to hire the lawyer.
Well, but it wasn't the kid.
Didn't say that. I never said the kid hired a lawyer. I never said that.
No. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying the kid didn't do it.
I understand.
The lawyer did it, or his family did it.
I understand.
The kid is, in that regard.
I think the parents are trying to take advantage of the situation to the maximum, and the lawyer is a scumbag.
Yeah, well, that's now the second thing is one of your earlier callers said everybody sues every which way these days. I've noticed, I'm old, I'm going on in my 80s, and I've noticed that over the years, one way universities make more money is that, well, now we'll have the School of Law and we'll lower the requirements and the lawyers.
Yeah.
I don't know that we had the quality of lawyer today that we had some time ago. But
no, we don't. I would agree with you, CJ, and that is a really, really, really valid point. Let's go to Pete. Pete is next. Pete, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. What's on your mind, Pete?
Yeah, hey, of course you're right. The kid doesn't deserve hundreds of millions of dollars for what happened. Actual damages, if they destroyed his reputation forever, how much would he make in his whole life? Maybe a few $1 million at the best.
Exactly.
But that's not the point. The point is you have to punish people. And Danny's an attorney, so as soon as I hang up, ask him to explain this. But in order to punish someone, you have to look at how much they're worth.
That's exactly
if somebody's worth $1, you punish the punitive damages at 25 cents. Is a punishment for them. It's 25% of their net worth.
I guess
CNN, NBC, they're worth billions of dollars. You have to hit them for hundreds of millions, or else it's not punitive. That's Danny to explain it. He's an attorney.
Well, unfortunately, we're up against a hard break. I do want Danny. I want to give you ample time. I don't want to give you 20 seconds. So will you answer that question on the other side of the break?
Absolutely.
Please. Okay, great. Danny Tarkanian in studio. Didn't want to cut him off, so I want to give him some time.
Not this time.
No, not this time. So I know you don't like that. So when we come back, Danny will answer that question. We got a few other callers on the line. We'll get to your calls when we come back at 257-5396. Again, 257-5396. Maybe even get to a little UNLV hoops. You are listening to the Vegas Take. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a Thursday. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports will be coming up in 30 minutes. Boy, Danny Ainge having a heart attack earlier today. It's crazy. Yeah. And when Danny Tarkanian in studio, by the way, and I asked Danny when he came in because I wasn't sure, because I know you're around the same age as Ainge, and you guys played around the same time, and I asked you if you ever played against him. Danny Ainge, a good dude. I just saw him last month. He looked healthy, Danny. He looked good.
Yeah, well, he had that temper when he played, though. Who knows what that did to his heart?
That's true. Who had the biggest temper that you ever played against? Like a guy that you thought when you played against him, he could punch you at any moment. Like, was there a guy like that?
I would tell you, there were guys that would try to intimidate me, and I would elbow
Do you remember
back.
any of them?
Almost everybody you play against. I remember the BYU guards were always like that. They were always trying to throw a few elbows, do this or that. But I'm going to tell you the guy that really shocked me. It was Mark Price. I was playing in this all-star team going to my senior year, and he was playing on the better one. And we played, and I gave a little bit of an elbow, tried to catch the ball. Boy, he hit me with a shot, and he was all muscle. I said, wow.
Mark Price, legend, right? I mean, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, I still remember those teams, right? It was Craig Elo, Mark Price, was it
Brad Daugherty?
Brad Daugherty.
Larry Nance.
Who, by the way, now does NASCAR play-by-play. Does that you talk about the last guy I would think would do NASCAR.
That makes zero sense.
Boy, those are some great Cleveland teams, weren't they? Those were fun. So Danny Tarkanian on the line. I do want to talk a little UNLV hoops, but we do have a few other callers that want to probably continue the discussion we had last segment, which is fine. The number to call, 257-5396. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to Ron. Ron, thanks for calling in. You're on with Danny Tarkanian. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. I remember seeing the original tapes of the situation with the boys down in Washington. And the way I understand, and from what I heard with my ears now, mind you, that the boys were called very dirty names.
Yes, they were.
By a group that was called Black Israeli Africans or something like that.
Yes, Black Israelites, which we did. We discussed that last segment. You're absolutely right. Yes.
And they were the ones that were
yes, they were.
The whole problem. And then the Indian guy, he came over. He's some kind of an activist. He got very close to the boy's face. Now, at the time, the way I understand, the young fellow was 16 years old. And most of the boys were in the 15-year-old age.
Okay.
So he's a minor. Number one, he's a minor.
Okay, so what's your point? What's your point?
He's not a kid. Under the law, he is called a minor, not a kid.
So what? What's your point?
And he was accosted by...
Okay, we know what happened, Ron. Ron, everything you've said we've discussed.
Ron, you're 100% right.
Ron, everything you've said we've already discussed. I agree with you. The point I was trying to make.
No, you got it wrong.
No, I didn't. Okay, oh really, Ron? What did I get wrong, Ron? Ron, what did I get wrong?
Happened, he was a
my God, forgive me. Okay, forgive me, Ron. Oh my God, I hope I don't get sued. Ron, sue me for $200 million if he was 16 instead of 17. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Ron. Do you have anything else for me before I let you go? Because you've made so.
After what he went through.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're right. Let's pay him $200 million after what this poor kid went through. Yeah, no, you're right, Ron. He's a minor. He's a millennial. Let's just pay him. You know what? Let's give him $500 million.
You keep forgetting the boy was a minor.
Let's pay him $500 million then. What do you think about that, Ron?
Minor. He was a 16-year-old minor.
Yeah, I know. You've said that 30 times in this conversation.
Law says a minor is a minor.
I feel like a settlement that large is actually bad for the economy.
Wait. What did you say he was again? Let me hear it one more time.
Minor.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just want. Thank you.
He was a minor.
Wait, you just called me a bird brain. I'm a minor. Ron, you can't call me a bird brain. I'm going to sue you for $200 million. That's defamation. Goodbye.
Well,
goodbye, bird brain.
You got it wrong again, though. If he sues him for $200 million, the attorneys are going to take $80 million of it. So he's only going to get $120.
I feel so sorry for him. I feel so bad for him, Danny. I feel so horrible for him.
The firm's getting at least 33%.
The guy called me a bird brain. That's defamation. I should be able to sue him, right? According to everybody's legal standards, right?
No,
that's defamation.
No, it's not. So you need to learn your defamation law.
I'm being facetious, Danny. I'm being facetious.
That is just a characterization of you. It's not a fact that you did something illegal.
I'm being facetious.
That is his opinion.
Okay. Well, I hope he sues me for defamation because that guy was an idiot.
You, Brian Shapiro, are a bird brain.
Yeah. 257-5396. Scott, you're on with Danny Tarkanian. What's up, Scott? What's up, Scott?
Hi, Brian, and hi, Danny. You had 2 votes here.
Well, thank you.
And my wife and I both know that you would have done a great service to the state of Nevada.
Thank you.
He was a good basketball player, too. You got to add that in there, too.
But Danny, you can't argue with Brian because if the sun is shining, a liberal will say that the sun isn't shining.
Well, Scott, first of all, you just said something that is ignorant because I'm not a liberal and I'm not a Democrat. So if you want to say something factual about me,
Brian,
I'm not.
If you look up liberal in the dictionary, your picture's there.
You're trying to. If you look up idiot in the dictionary, there's a picture of you. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm going to sue you for $200 million.
Go ahead. Put your wife. Why don't you put your wife in there too, and you can sue me for $400 million. I'll call her an idiot too. What do you think about that?
Oh,
if you want to label me, no. If you want to label me something and you're incorrect, then you're an idiot. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a Democrat. You sound like a right-wing hack. What do you think about that, Scott?
I am not a Republican.
Oh, sure you're not. Get off my show, you idiot. Get off. 257-5396. Wow. 257-5396. I don't mess around, Danny. If someone's going to call me something and they're wrong, I will call them out for it.
I'd hate to have a Native American come into your face and bang the drums on you.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't do.
You're going to get that hot of a guy calling you an idiot.
I wouldn't smirk, I'll tell you that. And then I would sue for $200 billion.
You would have called him an idiot.
We have another 257-5396. We have another Scott on the line. I hope it's a different Scott. Scott, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, my friend?
I'm sneaking in a basketball question, guys.
That's fair. Go ahead.
Danny, when you watch, like, say, the top 25 college basketball teams, and you compare the players today when you were playing, say, 35, 40 years ago, do you say to yourself,
that many?
I would be fine, the kids are more skilled today, they're stronger, or I would have done exactly what I did when I was playing at UNLV?
Look, there isn't a guy on my team that could play on anybody's top 20 team this year, including Sidney Green. The players today are so good. And I say this, I don't watch college basketball a tremendous amount, not like when my father was coaching, but I see enough of it where every team in the top 75, 80, they got three guys, maybe four, that shoot the ball like Anderson Hunt, but they're taller, bigger, and can get the shots off better. I mean, Anderson was one of the greatest shooters in UNLV's history, and there are so many of them. And everybody's so much bigger and stronger now. They're more athletic now. You can't compare it. Look, Babe Ruth, in my opinion, is the greatest baseball player ever. You have him playing the major leagues now, and he's not going to be doing anything. But during his time frame.
Can I ask you about shooting, Scott? And then I want you to stay on the line, Scott. You talked about Anderson Hunt and what a great shooter he was. You're right. I agree with you about athleticism and how good the players are today. But don't you think, in a way, it's kind of a lost art shooting? I don't think there's as many pure shooters today.
No, mid-range shooters. You're absolutely right, but not long-range shooters. Yeah. Everybody's shooting the three now.
Watch Steph Curry.
You give somebody an inch, an absolute inch, and they're going up and shooting, and they're making it.
Yeah. I'll tell you a crazy stat. Right now, 39.6% of corner threes are being made, 38.5% of top-of-the-key threes, but 32% of 25-foot-plus threes are being made. So I think what's going to happen is the line's going to be pushed back.
They absolutely should.
What you just said is too smart for me. I don't even know what you just said, but it sounded like you were right, and it sounded smart. I don't know what you said. Scott, go ahead.
Well, that just makes you realize that just like Anderson Hunt couldn't sniff in the NBA, right? Because he was just too small, Danny. He couldn't get it off in the NBA. Is that what happened?
Anderson's biggest problem was he was a shooting guard all the way through high school and his sophomore year of college. He was going to come back his junior. No. He played his junior year. So through his junior year, he was a shooting guard. Mm-hmm. Going into his senior year, my father was going to play him as the point guard. But there was somebody he was close with, a big booster here in town, that persuaded him to go pro, thinking that he would get drafted. And remember, UNLV was on probation that next year, so he was telling Anderson, you won't be in the tournament, you won't be on TV. But Anderson needed a year to work on his point guard skills if he was going to have any chance of making it.
Can I just add something there? And Scott and Danny, Danny, you know Anderson really well. I'm a good friend of Anderson's. I see him all the time. He comes on the show a lot. Even he would admit this, and I don't think I'm saying anything that he would mind me saying. He made some very, very, very bad decisions. He put some bad things in his body. He didn't take care of himself. I think if he was a little bit more responsible and he just focused on basketball and didn't hang around some bad people, there is no question in my mind he would have had a very long and prosperous NBA career. Danny, would you agree with that?
If he learned how to play the point, he wasn't going to play shooting guard.
That's certainly a part of it.
He was 6 foot tall.
But that's a part of it. I agree with you. But I think he made some bad decisions in his life, too. We all make bad decisions.
There's a lot of players that made the NBA that made those same type of bad decisions, that were taking the same kind of things and put it in their body.
Right.
Anderson could have done. You know what's funny right now is all the suspensions that they had for players in college and some of them, I don't know if in the pros, but certainly the ones they were ridiculing my father's players for smoking marijuana. And now we have legalized marijuana, and we have all the big boosters, all the big people, the newspaper writers, Greenspun, all these people that were writing the stories and talking about the players smoking marijuana. Now they own cannabis companies. I think it's hilarious.
They do. Oscar Goodman does too, doesn't he?
Well, his son does.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Anderson Hunt was an unbelievable athlete. He probably had a 42-inch plus vertical leap.
Yes.
I mean, he was so
insane.
He was so explosive, and his jumper when he shot his jumper, he was at the top of his jump when he released that ball. He could have definitely played at the next level for a long time.
Danny Tarkanian in studio. The number to call again, 257-5396. Talking politics, talking some UNLV hoops, 257-5396. Go to Ellie. Ellie, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Elle, thank you for coming in. Or I should say calling in.
That'll work. Hi,
right.
Brian. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Great. Let me give Danny a little advice before I make my comment. You might try having your wife run for something as opposed to you, because she does have, and I know she's conservative, I've seen her, and maybe she could win. I can't see you winning, and that's all due respect, but have your wife run. Now, Brian, for you, you are not a liberal, you're not a Democrat, but I need you to make a commitment just for this particular race. You see the state of our country. You see how it's crashing and burning. Could you see yourself voting with the Democrats if it came down to it? If they're reasonable and if you like them, could you vote another party?
That's a good, fair question. Number one, I would say I don't know who Donald Trump is going to be running against. Number two, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And this is where, idiots call in and they call me a liberal or a Democrat. I don't see anybody right now at this moment in the Democratic Party that excites me, that says, wow, they have my vote. If Bernie Sanders was not so far to the left, I think he's a good, decent man, right? But some of his free college, $15 an hour minimum wage, he wants felons to vote.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I think he has potential, but he's just way too radical to the left. There's a reason why Joe Biden has lost elections. There's a reason for that, okay? So
listen to this. This is just things people say when they're running. How many people, other than this idiot that's in office, actually tries to pull all this stuff off? They're saying this. Most of the stuff will
Here's what I want you to do. We have Danny Tarkanian in studio. I don't want to make this about me. Since Danny is here, you seem to think Donald Trump is an idiot. I sort of agree with you. Danny Tarkanian.
I feel so much better about her comment about me now that she thinks Donald Trump's an idiot. I think it says a lot about your intelligence. Hey, there's no way you're not voting for whoever runs against Donald Trump. You know you aren't.
No.
You're not going to vote for Donald Trump.
I'm going to be honest.
I'm not talking about you, Al. I'm talking about.
Here's where you're wrong. Number one, he's very entertaining, and he makes my job a lot easier.
Oh, stop it. You're not voting for me. All you do is ridicule.
Brian, Trump
doesn't mean I'm going to vote for a Democrat.
Trump or Kamala Harris, who do you vote for?
I don't vote for either of them. Listen, Danny, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. You know why? Because I thought both of them were bad candidates. So I'm now, if you want to say, Brian, you're not going to vote for Trump, you're probably not going to vote for a Democrat either, then I would probably agree with you.
Okay, I'd love to see your ballot when you cast a big guy.
I do. I do not agree with the voting for the lesser of two evils.
Let me just tell you, I disagree with you when you say you don't think I could win. That's people like you that are, you just have a different view of life. You just think that the far left is the right approach. And listen, that's what. No. Let me finish. Then you can finish. When you start talking about, hey, Donald Trump's an idiot. We have the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. The GDP was 3.2%. This last quarter is 3%. I know you don't like facts that show that your ultra liberal Obama was a horrible president, and instead you want to take pot shots at our current president. How about the wage increase, the highest in 10 years? How about going out and making NATO members pay more of their fair share of money? All of those things President Obama didn't.
Can I just say one quick thing before you respond? You can be a bad person and the economy could still be running good. You can still be an idiot but have good policy. You
can be a bad person or maybe somebody with a bad temper and a bad
Trump's
personality.
Trump's a bad guy.
But I'll tell you what, his policies have been so great for this country, and Barack Obama's were the worst for this country.
Okay, well, I also think Barack Obama was a decent human being, and I think Trump is a complete scumbag. Go ahead, Elle. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, my response, because I'm tired of hearing the GDP and the economy. This economy is set up for a certain class of people. I have not seen anything as a normal person. In fact, this is the first year I've had to actually pay taxes. And so all of this stuff about the economy, I think we have to look at the state of the country. Are you saying Donald Trump can burn this country down and change everything we've ever done, and then you save on your taxes? Or
no, you know what President Trump's doing? He's turning us back to what made America great. He's taking us back to the principles of freedom, liberty, personal responsibility, getting away from the handouts, getting away from stealing money from people that work hard and pay their own bills. He's getting away from making people that work hard and try to support their family having to pay for everybody's others' health insurance like my family is right now. And when you start talking about the economy is only for wealthy people, wage increase. Now, remember, the wealthy people aren't on wages. Most of them are not on wages. They own their own businesses.
What about tax cuts for the rich?
Wages are the top or higher now than have increased more this year than they have in the last 10 years, which includes every single year of Obama. And that's ridiculous, a tax increase for the rich. He cut the tax increases for everybody.
And this is going to be the first president that's going to lose with all those things you're saying. You have to look at the state of the country. This economy is not what they're
We'll
saying.
see if he loses. You said that he was going to lose the last election, so I'm sorry.
I didn't say that.
I'm talking now.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back. Hold on. Don't hang up. Let's go back. Why is it you think Danny Tarkanian is not electable? I want to know your opinion on that.
Well, she has a different viewpoint of what is important in life.
Number one, I'm just looking at facts. He's run how many times? 3, and he's never won. I mean, your numbers are on my side, right?
Well, a lot worse than that, but I'll take 3.
At least he's honest.
Let me tell you what races have I ran in? Do you even know? Do you know what kind of races and what kind of chances I had? So you just talk without knowing any facts, which just expose your ignorance. What races have I ran in? What races have I ran in? Do you even know? And do you know the amount of spending that was spent against me? Do you know that I've already won one defamation lawsuit against one person who defamed me and beat me in an election, and another one?
I saw all these ads. But I voted against you personally.
Well, I know that. Of course you would have voted against me. You don't like Donald Trump, so you don't like anything that I believe is good in America.
Well, that's not fair to say.
No,
Danny,
that is true. I came out and supported the policies of President Trump. Why would I expect somebody who doesn't like President Trump to support me?
Let me take it from here. This is going to be an interesting 10 minutes of radio. Let me tell you why, Danny, and thank you for the call, by the way. I appreciate it. Okay, first of all, I don't agree with transgenders not being able to serve in the military. You can shake your head on that. Maybe you don't have somebody that's a trans in your family, but
stop it. Nobody's even talking about that. We're talking about what he's done for the economy.
Brian, I look in the mirror. I'm very clearly a man, but I am convinced that I'm a woman. Please hand me a weapon.
Fine. I don't agree.
Please hand me several weapons.
I don't. Okay, that's a ridiculous conversation.
You try to find one thing that you
don't
like
agree with tax cuts for the top. I don't agree with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies getting tax breaks. I don't agree with that. And then the
tax breaks went for everybody. And in fact, if you look at the CEOs,
that's
all
not true.
What do you mean they're not true?
You're telling me that you think that an average person making $40,000 a year income pays the same amount of taxes percentage-wise as somebody who makes $50 million a year?
Stop. I didn't say that. I said the tax breaks that he did was for everybody.
Why shouldn't we all pay the same percentage? Or why somebody that makes $50,000? Listen, hear me out on this. A household income of $50,000 a year pays a higher percentage of taxes in this country than somebody that makes $50 million a year. And then the argument I hear from...
A higher percentage of taxes. I don't know. What math did you take?
You mean to tell me that somebody who is a millionaire pays a higher percentage?
Rate of taxes is?
I'm asking you, who pays a higher percentage?
Do you understand our tax system is based on the progressive rate, so the more you make, the more you're supposed to pay?
I'll tell you what I understand. That's based on how much money they have, but it's not based on the percentage of their paycheck.
Sure,
it's not. No, it's not.
It's based upon their earned income
okay, so I'll ask you a question.
Over the year. If you make more money, you pay a higher percent. The biggest problem is, which you're missing, which nobody's addressed except Donald Trump tried to, is to get rid of those special exemptions. They're given to the wealthy people and the wealthy corporations so that they don't pay the higher rate that is supposed to be paid in our tax system.
You like where unemployment's at. You like the economy.
Who doesn't?
I get that. Okay.
Who doesn't?
Okay, fine. I get that. But at what cost? Okay. Donald Trump is a bad person. He is a bad man. And I know you just want to rub it off and say, oh, so what? I'm happy with the economy. I think his policies are fantastic.
Half the country thought Barack Obama was a bad person. I don't think he was because of the reason? He created racial division throughout the country. You
think he did that intentionally?
Oh, absolutely, he did it intentionally.
Really? I'll tell you,
absolutely,
he did. Obama's a racist.
I think when he said that Trayvon Martin was just like my son, he was injecting himself, the president of the United States, into the circumstances of a criminal case for somebody else.
I didn't
when he
like
said
that.
Michael, when he came in and he
Michael
brought
Brown.
the
I know what you're going to say.
Michael Brown,
I understand.
the guy who attacked the police officer, tried to take his gun.
So
and
why
shoot
don't
him?
you show the same anger when Donald Trump goes after John McCain, Danny? When he goes after a POW like John McCain, this has nothing. You can laugh. It has nothing. Why don't you show that same anger?
We've been on the show, and I've already told you how bad I thought it was.
You have never shown anywhere near the amount of anger that you just showed just now for Barack Obama.
Because I think Barack Obama is a bad person, and he was a bad president. Donald Trump has said things that are absolutely wrong. You think Trump is a better person than Barack Obama? And he's 1,000%, 100,000 times better president than Barack Obama.
Are you willing to look me in the face right now, Danny, and tell me that you think Obama is a worse human being than Donald Trump? Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. I think
Obama's a good father, a good husband, and a decent man.
What are you talking about? He's a decent man. He's wanted to change the United States into some socialist countries. Embarrassed. These are things that affect us. This is what the president affects us by. If we want to hire the best father as our president, we would be electing a father.
You said he's a bad person.
He is a bad person when he wants to destroy the fabric that's made America the greatest country in our life because he's embarrassed because of America. Remember when his wife said, for the first time in my adult life, I'm proud to be an American just because her husband was elected president. So she was embarrassed to be an American.
We're talking about him.
They went to college. They were supported on financial aid to go all the things that they got here, and they're going to badmouth the United States of America.
Do you want to talk about all the dumb things that Trump and his family have said?
That's why I think Barack Obama's a bad person because he showed a disdain for what made America great, and he tried to transform it and destroy what made America great.
Let me respond to everything that you said because you just said a lot there. First of all, you're talking about policy. You disagree with Barack Obama's policy, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
That's the most important thing for a president because that's what a president does.
Politics. We are not talking about policy.
Goodness.
You can say, oh my goodness. We are talking about as a human being and as a person, Donald Trump is a scumbag.
Well,
the way he's
you say that. I met him, and he was so kind to my family. When we were supposed to go in and get pictures taken, the people told us only 2 people they said could get pictures taken. I had my 4 kids, my wife and I. He not only took every kid, got down, shook their hand, talked with them, and asked them a question. He took an individual picture with them. He was kind to all of us. He was a very nice man.
So, Danny,
maybe the things that you see and the media twist around.
I think that Brian and Danny have different priorities on what matters to them. And I believe that most of the country agrees with Danny and worries about things that actually affect them directly.
The majority of the country voted for Hillary Clinton, so that's not true.
You're going to find that that's not the case in the upcoming election. When things are good, if it's not broken, do not fix it. I think that's what's going to happen in 2020.
Let's just disregard about all the horrible lies and the horrible things that Donald Trump has said about women.
Barack Obama lied all the time.
Excuse me, let me just finish. Let's just disregard all.
And Brian,
let me just
Barack
finish.
Obama was so bad for startups and young entrepreneurs in the United States of America because of the tax system.
If I told you right now that Barack Obama was so nice to me, my family met him, and we took a picture, you would just disregard everything else?
No,
because that's what you're saying.
You may think Barack Obama's nice, and I didn't have that experience with him. I had the experience with President Trump.
Well, let me give you facts.
Therefore, I'm telling you, I think he's a nice guy.
Let me give you some facts.
I don't agree with some of the things that he said, but he was a nice person to my family.
Let me give you some facts.
I love that. And look at his kids, what great kids he's raised. They don't drink, they're not on drugs, they're responsible. Maybe he's a great parent, but the media won't want to give him credit for that, do they?
You think Donald Trump is a great parent?
I think he's a very good president.
You think he sets a good example and a tone for the country? Is that what you're saying?
There you go again.
Well, I speak
look at the kind of kids that he raised. Okay, look at the kind of kids he raised.
Don Jr.
Yeah.
Don Jr.'s a real beauty.
Oh, Don Jr.'s a great guy.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's an unbelievably great guy.
Great.
I know him a lot better, and I got a chance to spend a lot of time with him. He's a great guy.
He compared illegals in the wall to a wall in a zoo. He compared illegals to animals in a zoo. And how dare you call him a good person?
Yeah.
Please,
so you're going to take his words out of context,
absolutely not out of context. Absolutely, I read it. Donald Trump.
Sure, you do. He wouldn't say those type of things in that context.
I'm going to read you 2 quotes, not out of context from Donald Trump.
All going to be out of context.
No, they're not. These people, they crossing our border. They're bad people. They're rapists. And I suppose some of them are good people. Okay? That's one quote. You want me to give you more?
That's not the whole quote. He said Mexico sending the bad people, rapists, this, that. And then he said, and I'm sure there are some that aren't.
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said, I suppose some of them are good people. So that is demonizing illegals.
Look at. What, you shouldn't demonize illegals?
Just because
you shouldn't demonize people that come in the country illegally?
Rapists. They're all rapists and bad people?
See, you just lied.
I just read you the quote. No, I didn't.
Just said,
he
said all of them are rapists. You use the word all.
Didn't say that.
Listen to your radio station when you're done. You use the word all.
Let me repeat
and he
the
never
quote.
said that.
Let me repeat the quote.
He said there were rapists and murderers are coming across the country, and I suppose there are good people that come across too.
You're okay with that quote?
I think that there are good people that come across the country illegally, and I think there's rapists and criminals too.
Really?
And I think not only I think
Danny,
it's a fact.
The majority of illegals coming into this country, are they rapists?
It's a fact.
The majority?
Did he say the majority?
I'm asking you a question.
Did he say a majority?
These people coming into this country.
Of course not. But did he say they're a majority?
I'm going to read the quote again because I don't think you're listening. These people coming into this country, they're bad people, they're rapists, and I suppose some of them are good people.
He didn't say these people.
Would you like to make a $1,000 bet?
Go play the deal. Go play the deal.
I will make you a $1,000 bet right now. That is his quote.
Okay.
These people coming into this country, they're rapists, they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people.
We're going to pull that quote up, and then we're going to have you apologize.
I don't support. No, because I'm right.
Okay.
How about John McCain? I don't support John McCain because I don't support it because he was captured. I don't respect people who are captured. Am I taking that out of context too?
Yes, because you didn't even say it right. He said, "I don't think John McCain's a hero. Heroes are not people that I don't believe heroes are people who get captured." Of course, not. We talked about that already.
But you're not angry about that, are you?
You can't. No. See, I love this. This is the lunatic left that sits here and wants
not
to
take lunatic left.
Wants to. Well,
no,
I don't care what you're defending their positions. You want to take statements Donald Trump has made.
I'm defending the position of a decent human being.
That has nothing to do with the policies that he's implementing for our country, and you want to make him look like a bad guy when Barack Obama promised American people, if you like insurance,
Barack's
you
a horrible
keep
person.
it.
I get it.
If you have insurance, you're going to save $2,500 a month. Yeah. Mine actually went to $2,500 a year.
So let's deflect from
mine actually went to $15,000 a year.
That's a good pivot.
We actually didn't give $1.8 billion to Iran as hostage money, although we did go a late night in a plane and unmarked bills.
Obama's not president. You know what we did though? We went on a stage with Vladimir Putin and sided with an evil murderous dictator. We went on with Kim Jong-un.
So you mean Barack Obama when he was caught with the hot mic?
Why won't you address Donald Trump?
Well, listen. When Barack Obama said to the
Republican brings up Barack Obama, can't defend Donald Trump. You see, folks, what they do.
Tell Putin
do you see
that
what
I could be much more helpful after the election.
You talk to most Republicans, lunatic right, and they bring up Barack Obama
because you play different.
I asked you a question.
You have different standards. There's a standard for Barack Obama you ignore, and then you find whatever you can for Trump.
Danny, Barack Obama's not the president.
Did Barack Obama in the hot mic say, "Hey, after the election to the Russian, I'll be able to do more for him"? Isn't that as deceitful as you can get?
I didn't agree with it, but you know what?
Isn't that as deceitful as you can get?
Let me know when I can respond.
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Barack Obama is not the president anymore. If you want to talk about Barack Obama and do an hour on that, I will gladly not defend any of those things that you just said. I'm asking you specific questions about Donald Trump and what many people on the right that are Trump apologists do when you bring up something that Donald Trump says or does that is atrocious. Oh, what about Barack Obama? I don't respect that when anybody
standards.
does that. Oh, baloney.
You just want the same standards.
We're talking about Donald Trump, okay? What Kim Jong-un, okay, Vladimir Putin, two evil murderous dictators that he has worn knee pads on the biggest of the world stages. When asked whether Russia interfered in the election, when our own intelligence said that they did, he said, well, Putin told me they didn't, so I tend to believe him. I don't see why they would. In regards to Kim Jong-un, okay, in regards to Kim Jong-un and this horrible murder of Otto Warmbier. He was asked about it, and he said, well, Kim Jong-un told me that he felt bad. He said he didn't know what happened, and I tend to believe him. Yeah. How the hell do you defend that?
Well, first of all, do I agree that do I think that Kim Jong-un, or whatever the hell his name is, didn't know what was going on? Of course I don't. Why would Trump say it? He was probably trying to make nice with them so that we can stop a catastrophe war. You just asked for it. But you can't everything's got to be black and white for you. There's not one thing that he did that hurt America.
There's not one thing that Donald Trump does that you can admit that was wrong. I've never heard.
Stop it! I was on your show. We went through this quite a bit.
Why can't you just say that was a disgrace?
We already talked about the stuff with McCain. Why he said that was wrong.
Why can't you just say that?
We even talked about several of the different comments that Trump said that was wrong. Why don't I say what about?
Why can't you admit that some of the things that he's done on a world stage have been a complete and utter disgrace? Kissing ass to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un.
Of course, because I don't agree with it. I think if you're trying to work,
so you admit it was wrong.
I wouldn't have handled it that way, but I think he's trying to work with world powers, world leaders.
So why can't you say
instead of picking fights with them, remember when Hillary Clinton said we need a reset button with Russia when she was Secretary of State, so they were going to reset it, ignore all the horrible things Russia did, and try to work with them? That's what President Trump was doing. He's doing a reset button, but he's not politically correct, so he doesn't say it like Hillary Clinton.
Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. First of all, you said lunatic left. I don't support the left or the right, so you're incorrect there. Number one. Number two,
you're taking up
we talked
argument.
about. No, not true.
Sure you are.
I'm a logical person, okay? And I don't defend Barack Obama, and I didn't vote for Barack Obama, so you're wrong about that, too. Number two. Number three.
You did?
Well, you said lunatic left.
How could I be wrong if I didn't even say
left.
you did?
You said lunatic left.
I got you around, man.
Number three. Number three, we talked about Trump, and you finally admitted that you said you wouldn't have handled it that way. When it comes to Barack Obama and anybody on the left, Why can't you respond the same way? I wouldn't have handled it that way. You criticize the left and Barack Obama, but yet when it comes to Donald Trump and something disgrace like going after McCain or what I just mentioned, which you agreed was wrong, you wouldn't have handled it. You say, well, you know what? I wouldn't have handled it that way. But when it comes to Barack Obama, you just trash the guy and attack the guy.
Exactly. Can I answer you?
Sure.
Simple way.
Sure.
Because the things that you're talking about with Donald Trump are not affecting the policies and positions of the United States. He's trying to make amends and work with the world leaders like
You don't
that.
think
So
it
who
makes
says
him
if he
look
gives
weak?
them?
You don't think
that's your opinion if you think he's weak. Other people may say he's trying to get along with them. But you know what? You know what does affect the America's position and does hurt us as Americans? When he gives $1.8 billion over to Iran and says it isn't for a hostage. When he trades. What was it?
Again, you're talking about policies that I don't agree with.
The one POW guy.
I understand
not
what
the
you're
POW.
saying.
The guy who okay.
I don't agree with
deserted.
that.
Well,
just like what you said, I would have handled that differently,
this is different.
Danny. I
These
would
are
have handled
things that hurt the United States and the policies and positions we're in. Or
Okay,
how
fine.
about when he and his whole cabinet and his office said that Benghazi was because of some anti-Islam movie. Those things hurt the United States. They're not I'm
going to respond the
my
way you
inauguration
responded.
was larger than that.
We got to take a break, but I'm going to respond the way you responded and say I would have handled it differently. So we will agree. We will agree to disagree. It's good radio. I always like getting into it with Danny Tarkanian. JD just sitting here off to the side. Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that screaming match? I thought that was very entertaining.
I really, really love that screaming
Danny,
match. That was exciting.
Danny, can we continue round 2, the screaming match, at some point next week? Can we agree?
Absolutely.
All right, good. I always love it. Danny, you know I love you. I always love it when you come in. It's always a great conversation. The phone lines are full, and I didn't even give out the number, but I can't take more calls right now because we have Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports coming up. I'll tell you what. Have these callers wait on the line. We will get to them coming up in about 10 minutes. Let them know, Ken. I appreciate that. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports coming up next. You are listening to the Vegas Take. Danny, thank you so much again for taking the time to join me. Always appreciate it, my man. Thank you so much. Always a good spirited, heated debate. We'll take a quick break.
I have a lot of fun at it.
Yes, I know you do, and I know you don't take it personally, and that's why I love you. Take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.